Moving slow. There we go. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kelsey, and this guy right next to me, Kevin Kane,
Yes.
the man with the 5 billion haunted dolls and a haunted doll house, too. Did you ever put lights in that house?
Oh no, I forgot all about that,
Oh, my
man.
goodness. It looked
Everything
like
going on.
you need to get some spooky lights to put in there. Maybe little miniature candles. So, of course, this is Abnormal, Alabama. And, we're not too far off from having done this 2 solid years.
Yeah, it's almost 2 years.
I can't believe I've known you that long. So, anyway, we don't have any guests tonight because sometimes we don't like people. We just want to talk ourselves. And considering that, I wasn't able to participate all weekend long because of some family situation. But Kevin gave what I understand to be a wonderful presentation at the Witches Gathering, a virtual event that took place on the internet over the weekend. And Saturday morning, we'd already discussed, but a lot of people want to get into paranormal investigations. And Kevin was going to talk about that. Well, he did talk about it. And different ways to get into it without going broke. And you don't have to be a wealthy person. And you certainly don't have to have all the gadgets that Zach has.
Nope.
So very few of us make Zach's money. So Kevin does, but I don't. So
well, I've got a day job. It would be nice to have your own paranormal show, dumping money in your pockets. And
we do have a paranormal show. We're on it right now.
But it's not dumping money in our pockets like Travel Channel.
Well, we're having fun.
Yeah.
So after that, we're going to talk about a house that a couple of years ago, this guy murdered his wife and his 2 kids. And of course, like all murderers, they lied about it. He lied about it to begin with. He got busted. A neighbor's front porch camera caught him. And that was one of the first things that egged the police on. But the interesting thing about it is what the police body cam caught while they were bringing the search dog in to look for evidence. And it's pretty interesting. So we're going to talk about that. And if we have time, I might play that video too so people can see that. And then also Kevin did a spirit, was it a spirit box?
Yes, a spirit box session.
And who was that with?
And that was with, I have a handwritten homework paper in my collection from actress Heather O'Rourke, which was just a little homework assignment she had completed, I think maybe on the set of Poltergeist 3, just months, maybe 3-4 months before she died.
And how old was she when she died?
And she was 12, almost 13. And she, of course, I can talk about that more later about how she died, but and how I got that item. But she was the star of the Poltergeist films. The They're Here girl.
All right, so let's start from the beginning, going back to Saturday morning. And if you know anybody that's interested in getting into the paranormal world or needs some ideas on how to do their paranormal research without spending Zach Bagan's money.
I like we say money.
Money. really big money.
Zach Bagan's money.
I guess this is my night to get picked on.
Oh, I liked it. I thought it was money.
So Kevin's got some tricks in his bag next to him there.
Literally got some tricks in the bag.
So that is a paranormal investigation bag.
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be a carry-on bag, but I made it into a investigator bag.
All right. So I want to get involved in paranormal research. I work at the Waffle House and don't make much money. and 2020 really made me more broke. But I really want to go look for some ghosts and talk to some dead person.
Ah,
What can I do it without getting on Amazon and running up a big bill?
you go to the closest cemetery and say, "Hey, how you doing?" but, but I started out. Well, that's talking to a dead person, or a lot of them there.
Yeah, yeah. And people confuse that really because they say, I talk to dead people. Well, anybody can talk to a dead person. The key to it, though, is trying to get the dead person to talk back to you.
Yeah, that's why I'd rather say I talk to spirits.
There you go.
I just like to say ghosts.
Ghost.
One lady I read a book about. Oh, I can't remember what state she was in, but the title of her book, "Don't Call Them Ghosts," and she owned a house with 2 child spirits in it that kind of like my situation. It started out as scary, and then it grew on her, and then it became more like a spirit, spirit relatives to her. And so she felt like it dehumanized them to call them ghosts. I don't know why, but
That's an insulting word. It's like me calling. It's like me calling you a cracker.
Even the even the ghost world has to be politically correct.
Yeah.
I'll say that G word.
Here's my cracker friend, Kevin. And do you talk to mostly cracker ghosts, or is there other?
No, I've got one of my first EVPs was from an African American, or can I say black woman, a black female ghost,
A darker skin.
So, yeah, darker persuasion. But yeah, as far as starting out, and that was the first thing I said in my talk, is in order to really truly start out, if you're going into this for the thrill seeker purpose, you've seen Zach going in on TV with muscles flexing, and he's a hero yelling at these guys, these evil spirits. Come on up! And got the hair gelled up. Or you turn on what used to be Ghost Hunters, now Ghost Nation, and you think, man, that's cool what Jason and Steve and Dave do. And the difference with them is they actually know that their experience, they know what they're doing. And that's what I said. First of all, you've got to have the passion, and you've got to know what you're doing first. The passion, what I meant.
And then what you see is edited out of hours and hours and hours and hours of nothing happening.
I said yeah, and I got to that too. I said what I mean by the passion is if you're going into it just for a thrill, you want to see some ghosts put on a show for you, that's the totally wrong reason. Don't do it, I beg of you, because it's disrespectful. So you got to have the passion, not just to want to go out and hunt ghosts, but to help people, because that's what we who aren't just ghost hunters, but paranormal investigators, we're dealing with people, not just the dead, but the living, who are calling us out saying, hey, I got something going on in my house or my business, and I need you to come out and help us with that.
Would you really think that the dead people need our help?
Sometimes you get those, at least I've come across a few that need help crossing over.
Okay. I've heard that before.
And I actually, in fact, of course, that's a whole other story, but in one of my Birmingham ghost tours that I was the tour guide on, I actually at Botanical Gardens outside the gate one night, we would stop. They wouldn't let us in there. They were closed, but they allowed us to, stop in front of their gates there. And I did a spirit box, and I got a ghost saying help. And I actually, offered to help him. I said, you see a very bright light. And I got yes from the ghost box. I said, just follow that, just go toward it and keep going, and you'll be okay. And you heard him his voice get softer and softer from the spirit box, and then it just disappeared. And the whole tour of 30 people were standing there. jaws drop. And I'd forgotten I was on the shore. For a minute there, I flashed into investigator mode. I said, "Oh," and that's sometimes what we do on paranormal investigations. We help a spirit find its way. I always thought, when you pass, you're gonna go one way or the other. But I have come across a few that I guess there is some kind of a little in between they can get stuck in. That they just need help.
So I know that I'm interrupting you, Kevin, but you're bringing
Yeah.
about questions. So so when you help one of these spirits, ghost, crossover, the question I've got is, do you ever hear or see from them again, or does that stop the haunting altogether?
The few I've had, I've never seen or heard from them again. I know that one of the homes that I went in with Scarab, Alabama, we had a spirit, and that same exact thing happened. It was come to the spirit box, and we it wasn't me doing the talking. I think it was Cat or Kim talked it into the light, or him. I don't want to call it it. Talked him into the light. So they're saying it like when it's a him. Talked him into the light, and the same thing after you heard his voice get fainter and fainter when he would respond to us, and then he stopped responding. And they didn't have any other. That particular home didn't have any other activity from that ghost ever again, as far as at least to date that we've heard of. So that's twice I've either witnessed or been a part of that kind of thing. But the ones I have here, I've asked out of curiosity, does anybody, when I do a spirit box with the dolls and everything, does anybody need help? And they'll, either I'll get a no or I just don't get a response.
There's a question for you.
Ooh, has a spirit ever followed you back home? Actually, it had two of them, in fact. And that was, I didn't go into that in detail. I don't think I mentioned that on the talk Saturday, but when I talked about how I got into it, what got me into paranormal investigating and the interest that I have in it, started out when I was a kid. I had paranormal experiences in the house I grew up in. The neighborhood was built near what used to be a Cherokee Indian territory there. And we'll find arrowheads and old bones and pottery out there and all that good stuff. But we had spooky goings on in the house. So that got me interested. And then when I got older, I wanted to get out and start investigating other places when I was in college. So 2003, I ventured out, but it was on my own. I've learned since then it's better to go with people or at least another person so you're not alone. But I went alone. I went solo. And the first place out of state I dared go to, boy, I got the big head. It's what a lot of paranormal investigators will call you their dream location, where everyone wants to go to one day and investigate, and that's the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. That's got the story of the Chloe, the house servant who poisoned and accidentally killed the two little girls in her care and their mother. And she's actually, what I mentioned a little while ago, one of my first EVPs was an African American woman. It was her. And it was interesting. I've heard in the Bible, and I've read in the Bible. It was one of the Timothy books. If you do come in contact with the spirit, you can find out if it's of God or not by asking, do you acknowledge Jesus Christ has come in the flesh? And so I applied that to the paranormal side. So I asked on the recorder in my room there at Myrtles, I said, do you acknowledge Jesus Christ has come in the flesh? When I played it back, you could hear a black woman's voice say, yes, I do. And I believe, I can't hear you, Kelsey.
I was trying to unmute myself and I accidentally knocked you off the screen. I looked up and like, where Kevin?
But
sorry.
That's okay. But I was living in an apartment.
I put on my glasses, see what I'm doing.
Yeah, getting to that question about has a spirit followed you home. When I was in that apartment that I lived in back then in Homewood, Alabama, during this time I went to Myrtles. I came home from that trip having been freaked out because I did have a contact, if you want to call that, with the spirit there. Not that EVP, but sitting in the room that night, I felt a little hand touch my leg, and it felt like a child's hand. And I went airborne off the bed and almost ran out the door, but I calmed down. Long story short, I came back home, and for the next 2 weeks, I had activity in my apartment. And I mentioned before, I'm partially sensitive. I get it from my grandmother and great grandmother and the Cherokee Native heritage I have. But I feel like there were those two little girl spirits at Myrtle's followed me home, and they stayed with me a couple of weeks. One night I was going to sleep. I hadn't gone to sleep yet, but I was laying in bed with the lights off. And I felt that same little cold hand at Myrtle's. I felt come on my back. I was laying on my side, my head on the pillow, and
You better put on your glasses too.
trying to drift off to sleep. And I felt that little hand come on my back, and it just stayed there. I could feel it. And my eyes went big, but I dared not move. I stayed frozen in bed. And I said, "Who is that?" Out loud. I didn't get an answer. I said, "One of these children here?" No answer. But gradually the hand sort of faded off my back, like whatever was there evaporated, Then I would come home from work each day. I would find stuff moved around. Like there was a couple of candles on little shelves in my bedroom up over my bed. Little decorative shelves. Those candles was off the shelf all the way across the room, laying upright on the floor against the wall. All the way. Now, if it had fallen off, it would have landed on the floor below the shelf. It was all the way across the freaking room, sitting straight up on the floor next to the opposite wall. Little things like that. I was sitting watching TV, and I just didn't. I feel like sometimes I'd sprawl on the floor back then, so I sprawled out on the floor watching TV. Remote control sitting on the floor next to me. The channels start flipping, and I'm not touching the remote. And so I picked up the remote right quick, flipped it back to where I was watching, and after a while, it flipped again. And I picked up the remote again and flipped the channel back. But a few weeks went by, and then it stopped. So I guess they went back to the Myrtles, because the next time I went to the Myrtles the next year, I said, I got to go back. This is interesting. I went back, and during the tour, I felt little hands in each of my hands as I was walking around. I did the candlelight tour. I went on a Friday because they do candlelight tours at night. Oh. Normally they don't have nighttime tours there, but they have candlelight tours where they take you around, and it's all about the ghost stories and occurrences. But I felt a hand, and I said, it's these little girls again. So they like me. Every time I go back, I've been back 5 or 6 times, I feel those little hands holding mine every time I walk around the house. So I guess they really like me, and I really like them. They're sweet little girls. In fact, I saw one of them when I was sitting in the, I stayed, every time I stay in a different room when I go. I was staying in the downstairs suite, and it's got a sitting room and a bedroom. So there's 2 rooms that you get with that suite. And I was sitting in the sitting room, and I was watching a movie on my laptop because they don't have TVs in the rooms. It's very antique. And I look over, and in the doorway of the bedroom, there's one of the little girls peeking out, and she darted off. And I jumped up and I ran in there. I said, "No, come back. I want to talk to you. I'd love to get your picture." But I didn't see her. I looked all over, and there was nobody there. And it wasn't a trick. There was no door out or an easy window to get out of in that bedroom. Everything was shut and locked. I think Michelle put another question up. So do you try to?
I shared it, but we need to get on if we're going to cover everything. Okay. Go ahead and get on to your presentation about, because there are people that's like, okay, how can I get involved in this? And
yeah, we got off subject.
Yeah, it's already almost 30 minutes, 20 minutes into our program. So yeah, go ahead, bro.
but I just started picking up equipment on the way. I mentioned earlier I was just a solo investment. Well, my brother would come with me sometimes. He came with me to Sloss Furnace here in Birmingham.
I can't believe Van would get involved with that.
I know he did. He had never been to Sloss at that point. And what's good about Sloss, I know not everybody has this, but Sloss is a great place for training for paranormal because it's open during the day every day and it's free to get in. You can't beat free. And I mean, you can donate to the gift shop if you want to, but they don't charge you. You can do your own walking tour. And we went on a week.
Have you been there since they changed?
I haven't been there in a while, so I'm sure.
So they totally changed it. They got a new building over by the railroad tracks.
Oh.
And they kind of put a whole quietus on the ghost thing. They kind of, their whole attitude changed down there. They went uppity.
Yeah. I do know they stopped allowing nighttime investigations. They used to let you do it for a fee.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope.
So I know about that.
Yeah. Just wanted to update everybody on that.
But I know they're still open for walking tours. I know they don't offer ghost tours of their own. So you got to take your own walking tour and maybe pull up something on YouTube or something, listen to it while you're walking around and you get your own little tour. But we walked around. I mean, and I said this during the talk on Saturday. You don't have to go out at night. You can go in the daytime and catch evidence.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. You're telling me that ghosts don't sleep in the daytime?
No, they don't sleep. They don't need sleep anymore. They're dead.
So in other words, I can have a fully lit house and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a bright sunshiny day, and I can try to talk to spirits.
Yeah, I've done it myself and caught some pretty loud, solid EVPs, not even in spirit box. I'm talking solid first class EVPs.
So that's number one, folks. You don't have to go into some dangerous abandoned building in the middle of the night to try to communicate with spirits. You can go to a graveyard in the daytime. I've had more experiences, honestly, in broad daylight when I was not even looking. I've seen a full body apparition literally as the sun was shining.
I've seen the full body ones I've seen, well, except for a few. The ones I've seen have been broad daylight.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen there's videos out there. I know in Savannah, the lady was in one of the historical cemeteries, not Bonaventure, but the one that's in the middle of town. Can't remember the name of it, but
I still got to get you up at the Fraternal Cemetery.
Oh, yeah. But she was doing a video and wasn't even ghost hunting. She was just there videoing for historical purposes. And all of a sudden, this little boy figure jumps out of a tree and runs across the cemetery and then jumps back into another tree. And she saw it and got it on video. It's out there on YouTube. And they said there is a little boy ghost out there. And you could tell it looked transparent on the video. It was broad daylight. People were walking around out there. And but
so that's the first thing you can learn right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to have this Hollywood Zach Bagan middle of the night stuff.
No,
it's not what it takes. So
I picked up, as far as that, you also don't have to have the expensive, outrageous equipment. I mean, I started out with these two things: regular digital camera and a voice recorder.
Is that the same voice recorder you still use?
Well, yeah, I have used it a few times, but I mainly use, because it's so handy now that we have these smartphones, you can do, you got your camera, you got your voice recorder, all that on here.
Everything. So that, you can do
so that eliminates that.
Spirit box session. A spirit box right here.
See, this was 2003. This is 2020.
Yeah, about to be 21.
Yeah.
In fact, the cameras on here are now better than that camera.
Freaking this is better quality than the camcorder I've got.
Yeah.
The digital camera.
What if you buy a decent one, Kevin? Gee.
Yeah, I mean, well, this one again, ghost hunting on a budget. This was just under $100 on Amazon. It is good. It's
That
got
was,
fantastic night vision on it.
is that the one on Amazon?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. I started to buy one of those. So you're saying it is a good camera.
it is, and it's got fantastic night vision.
Well,
Just
that's the
don't
reason, you know,
don't use the exterior microphone that comes with it because it muffles the sound. I just use it without. You can hear the sound good. But or you could get one of those really, awesome exterior microphones. Those bigger ones might pick up better.
you're trying to hypnotize us there.
Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, so that's what I started out with, and then I just kind of added to it. Because I saw it used on TV, I said, I want to check this spirit box thing out. And I was very skeptical. These aren't very expensive. This one was $49 on ghoststop.com. And this is the newest kind because it's not only a spirit box, but it's got an SD card slot. So you can do recordings on here. You can do Bluetooth on here. So it's a spirit box and beyond. And it's got playback if you do record. And it's got AM, FM sweep. So, and these are good. I was skeptical because I thought, it's sweeping radio channels. How do you know if it's not just a radio voice coming through from a station? But these things sweep 5 stations per second. Wow. So when you get a full sentence, that's not going to be radio station. Also, we've had spirits that would cuss at us, and you're not allowed to cuss on AM, FM because you get a huge fine for that.
Yeah.
So. And we've had spirits come through. I know one called Cat a bitch one night. I've had one say asshole. And,
that box, that spirit box you just showed us now is $89.
Whoa, is that on ghoststop.com?
No, it's on Amazon.
Oh yeah, Amazon is more expensive.
Okay, what's it called? Ghost what?
Ghoststop.com.
Okay.
And
the ones that make it?
I think they're the ones that made it, and they sell it cheaper. Kind of like we sell our books cheaper on our website.
Mm-hmm. Well, now on their website, ghoststop.com, they've raised their price too. They say the regular price is $89.95 and it's now on sale for $69.95. So you jumped on it. You jumped on it just in time.
I might have got a sale. I'm trying to think. It's been since I moved here, so it's been since April because I've lost the original PSB 7 I had. It's somewhere in a box, I guess, in the attic.
That's that little black one.
Yeah, the black one, the old version
too. I had one identical to yours, and I lost it too.
But
I think that the poltergeists are collecting them.
But these are still worth it. I mean, I like it, and I've gotten some responses.
Can you record with that as well?
Yeah, you can record. It's got the SD card slot, so you can record and play back.
Okay.
The ghost box session, at least what's coming out on the the spirit box. And then there's all kinds of cheap things you can use.
Don't say cheap. Inexpensive.
Inexpensive. Oh, I'm so unpolitically correct. This thing is really good. It's a little flashlight. It's just a regular flashlight you can buy in the store. Now, it doesn't have a regular click on and off button. You turn it on, but the light doesn't come on. It only comes on when you touch the side like that. And this is useful.
Where'd you find that?
Actually, they gave this one I got at work for free. We have attorneys come bring us things, because I work for an auto insurance company. And they gave these out for free. But yeah, I've seen them in the store. I've seen them at Dollar General.
Really?
And yeah, you just touch the side. And so you can use this. Some investigators like to take those little flashlights and they unscrew the end and have the spirit use that to say yes and no. But this you eliminate. They just have to touch it. And we've had this light on, for yes. And we've gotten some responses.
Okay, so the spirit box, we know on that site is like $70.
Yeah.
And now this little flashlight there, maybe $5. I don't know.
Yeah, $5, $10, something like that.
Yeah. And
Uh,
then, so you can kind of add this stuff up and see where you want to go. Now, keep in mind, have you, for the spirit box, Kevin,
uh-huh.
have you had any success with these apps for your phone for a spirit box?
The only one I've used that I can say we've got, because I think some of those are just getting fun apps. I don't think they're real.
Mm-hmm.
But the Sono X12, I think, is what I have. It did cost. It's a one-time $2 or $3 fee, and we've had. It clears out the noise and it does a sweep without the static, or at least it
Yeah,
lowers
but
the
that's
noise
no
on
fun.
it.
You got to sound like Huff Paranormal.
But let's see, Sono X12 Ghost Box. I'm about to pull it up here. I think it sweeps the stations through the internet, I guess, and
Sono X or S?
X is an X-ray. Sono X12.
There we go. I found it. So it is like $2.99 or something.
Yeah. But I've had it sweeps. It's got two banks there. It sweeps and causes a white noise thing without the loud shh. And we've gotten some good intelligent responses with that. But others I've used, I think it sounded like it may have been picking up our voices and playing them backwards. And I think it's just fake,
The reason I ask that is because some people, even 70, $80 could be a very difficult proposition
Yes.
for something like this. So you can start out with a app on your phone and go like that. Michelle asked, "Do you charge it like a cell phone?" It's an app on your cell phone, so it's not chargeable.
Now
But that one,
this one is chargeable. You don't
that
have to
comes with
put
a
batteries.
USB cable, so you
Yeah.
plug it in, charge it. And so the spirit box is a popular thing because, and you don't even have to use a spirit box. The difference between a spirit box and an EVP is a spirit box you hear immediately. An EVP, you get an answer, but you don't hear it, but the recorder picks it up and you have to review the thing later. Now, in some ways, the EVP is kind of spookier than the spirit box.
Yeah.
It happened. It's like, where did this come from? So anyway, there's a price difference there if you're talking about a budget. So you can think about that. He's got some other fascinating tools. You'll see that he likes to buy from Dollar General and Dollar Tree.
Yeah, the next thing I was going to bring up here that everybody always gets a kick out of this is like, what? Did you know that a basic cat toy can be used as a paranormal tool?
Well, I know cats are spooky.
Yeah, they are. My cat herself is a ghost detector because she'll see things I might not see. And also, she runs out of the room if something bad comes. If she takes off running, I know it's bad. Stay away. But anyway, these little cat toys. Now, when they're touched, or if the cat slaps at it with his paw, it lights up, and the cat has fun beating it around. As far as paranormal, we've used these. Kids like toys. Even adults like toys sometimes. We found this useful in some of our investigations of haunted places. If you set this out on a solid surface or just on the floor, and be sure to get back and don't move around a lot, because if this thing, gets knocked against, it can go off. But you can ask the spirit, tell them, hey, show it to them and say, hey, look how pretty this lights up. And you set it down. You say, if you're here, come up and touch it. Come up and play with it. And we've had these things not only light up. I know I saw this used in the Thomas house up in Tennessee, where there's a little girl spirit named Sarah, I believe. Not only did this thing light up in the middle of the floor, nobody was near it, but it started rolling across the carpet on a level floor. And then it would stop, and then it would go still for a minute, then it would light up again. like something had battery's going dead in this one. There it goes. But so these are useful. You can buy. I bought this a pack of 3 on Amazon for $3, I think, and you can probably find them in the store, maybe even a Walmart. I don't know, but they're not expensive, and that's a useful tool you can take anywhere. So there you go. You can find different odds and ends. One thing I have for safety, and this is I've had this a while, so I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't expensive, like $15, $20. This is an EMF detector. The reason I like to have this is sometimes when people claim their house is haunted because they're standing on the stairs and they suddenly feel disoriented and they hear a voice or they see a wispy image. It's been scientifically proven if you're in an area with high EMF fields, it can cause disorientation, nausea, sickness. It's very dangerous, in fact. So if there's a particular spot, they're getting activity, and we like to take this in and see if we can pick up any high EMF fields, electromagnetic fields. And I know one team, it wasn't mine, but another team, I believe it was Taps in Memphis, had a client talk about having feelings of insecurity and dizziness on the stairs of their house, and they would see things up at the top of the stairs when they would start up. And they went in with an EMF detector, and they found near that area of the stairs that this thing was just lighting up like crazy. The numbers were high, and they asked, "What's under the stairs?" "Oh, it's just storage space." Well, they went under the stairs, and all these loose wires were hanging down underneath there, coming out of the wall. I don't know if somebody had a speaker under there at one time or what it was. There was some wires down there. And he said, "You need to get that fixed. That's what's causing your problem. That's going to make you sick." So it wasn't even a ghost. It was something natural. On the paranormal side, though, we have set these out before and asked if there's a ghost around, because it's believed ghosts give off electromagnetic field. And we've asked spirits to go up and touch the box if they can. And sometimes this thing will light up by itself sitting in the middle of the room when we ask that on cue. And there's nothing electrical around it. So it's also a paranormal tool as well as a safety tool.
So that item there, I know, can be found on Amazon. It can be found at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yeah.
On an average, for the type you would need for a paranormal investigation, how much you looking at spending on one of those?
I remember I've seen them for $15 or $20.
So they're very affordable.
These, especially these older ones.
Different than some items you're showing, those are not rechargeable. They take like batteries in them.
Yeah, that's battery powered.
Now, you got more in your bag, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I got a few things that this I bought, I think, for $12.
I got the exact one, same exact one, and they're using those now to screen people for COVID-19.
Yeah, they are.
But you can find cold spots, or hot spots in a room, and that
can help you kind of find places where there might be a spirit. And we have, similar to the EMF, we got these K2 meters, which I think does the same thing. It picks up on magnetic fields, and these I think have gotten cheaper now. They're not as expensive as they used to be.
And those they will lay there and ask questions and try to get the spirit to bounce the lights up.
In fact, I had this out Saturday and I held it up to the doll. Well, you saw where they were sitting. I would hold it up to the dolls, and this thing would light up, especially with Patty's doll. She kept lighting it up. So that was pretty cool. So
later in the show, Kevin may share his last spirit box session with you, or girl from Poltergeist 3. A question that Michelle kind of referred to that I would like to interject here, since you're almost through going through your bag. Do you go through any processes? Some people pray, some people carry holy water or sage, but if you're going into a place that is a haunting, and you don't know whether it could be a demonic thing, it could be a bad spirit,
Mhm.
whatever. Do you go through any kind of ritual to protect yourself?
What I do, and it all comes down to whatever the individual person's belief system is. With mine, it's Christianity, so I pray very heavily. In fact, I pray over my house with these haunted dolls. Every evening, I'll do a prayer. You know, in the
Yeah,
name of
when I come,
Christ. To
you don't know it, but when I come and visit you, I start praying the minute I go in your driveway. Yeah,
okay,
Lord, protect me from Kevin.
and but yeah, I usually pray. My mother would call it pray a hedge of protection around you. So I
Right.
pray a hedge of protection. I just pray for protection before going in. Um, I think there's some people do is it Saint Michael's prayer?
Yes. St. Michael's. And St. Michael's
Have you
prayer is
done
also
that?
used with minor exorcisms and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we do that. And while I'm in a place, I always in my bag I carry holy water. And so if I do run into something, I found this useful to, get back, kind of like garlic to a vampire.
Yeah, I was with
Um,
you one time and you spilled some on your hand and it burned your hand.
it did not. You liar, liar, pants on fire. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I think I've gone through my whole bag now as far as what I've got with
Well,
me.
and I tell people this too. You know, the purpose, keep in mind, the purpose of these tools, a big part of these tools is to document your findings.
Yes.
So if it's just a matter of you want to have the experience, you want to do an investigation, if you get the mindset that you have nothing to prove to anybody, you're not trying to be Zach Bagan or Kevin Kane, uh, you don't have to have any tools. This tool right here is the best communication tool with the other realm that there is. This is
Yeah.
where it's going to feed right here.
And that reminds me of another thing. Let me fix my camera there. Another thing that's very important, that's a tool that you can't buy, and that is respect. I mentioned that heavily in my talk. I said, and again, bringing up Zach, you see on TV where they go in, they're challenging the ghost, yelling at them, come out, come out.
Come
Well,
out.
as a human, I would not respond well if somebody walked in my room, just started yelling in my face to do something. So I think, I treat especially with a human spirit, that's what it is, a human. I treat them respectfully. So you've got to be respectful when you go in to a haunted place. You're going in their territory.
Now,
Introduce yourself, be polite, ask if it's okay to be here, and if you feel comfortable, keep going and just be respectful.
Michelle asked another question, and she's curious about your dolls. And the question had to do with, do you believe that dolls always have a spirit in them? And I think the answer to that is no. Dolls are
No.
like any other inanimate object.
Oh,
They may
oh,
they may end up with an attachment for some reason, but most dolls are not haunted. Let's just put it that way. Out of
yeah.
200 dolls, there may be 2 or 3 active ones in the bunch.
And I'm not saying there's not any in existence, but I've never seen myself a haunted Barbie doll. It's always some, vintage special doll that somebody owned or.
Yeah.
But yeah, not all dolls. I mean, I've had some I've had sent to me, like this painting I just got Saturday of that little girl holding the cat. A lot of these people that send these, it gives them an uneasy feeling. Some people are scared of dolls. Some people are scared of those paintings with the eyes look like they're following you, and they automatically think it's haunted. And it probably isn't. They're just, it gets on their nerves a little bit. And if they
There,
want to send it to me and makes them feel better, that's fine.
yeah. There is a issue that I find with so many people wanting to be involved in the paranormal world, and they're curious and they watch the ghost hunter shows and whatnot. Is some people are wanting the experience so bad that they'll interpret everything as a haunting. The biggest one, honestly, you see it pop up on these websites and on Facebook all the time, is everybody, there's an orb. Oh, look, an orb. Okay. And it's like, orbs are probably the least reliable, in my
Yeah.
opinion, because there's so many things in cameras. You got to understand, a camera does one thing. Cameras do one thing. They collect light.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do. Now we got different settings. We can change how much light it collects and all that, but they collect light. That's what
Yeah.
pictures come from is light. When it's doing that thing, especially if you're doing it at night, little bitty tiny nothings in the air will reflect what looks like light. And it comes out on film or on digital as looking like an orb. So that is, anytime somebody puts, look at the orbs I caught, I think, oh, whoo,
I've had that.
another orb believer.
I had one that or one paranormal page I came across, and they had their page set up with all the ghost photos they had captured. All our ghost photos, I click on it, every single one is orb photo outside, all these little lit up things. I'm like, you ever heard of bugs? Especially when you're in front of a
dust.
Yeah. Especially when you're in front of the woods. I mean, you're gonna get things flying or
But some people just lose their credibility because they're so intent on proving something. The best ghost hunters are the skeptics. In other words, like my dad used to say, I'm from Missouri, you got to show me. And so if you want a true experience, make sure you've got a skeptic with you.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, because they're going to debunk everything possible. And when they reach the end of I can't debunk that, then you know you got something.
Yeah, we got one on our team that's big husky guy that he loves to quickly debunk stuff, and he does it good naturedly. He doesn't, bash on people for believing it might still be paranormal. But we had him on a investigation in the Comer Museum down in Sylacauga, and and up on the there's a part of the second floor where there's a kind of a balcony area you can see up there near the stairs. Mm-hmm. The landing kind of goes into a little balcony area, or you can go into the rooms next to it. And we were videoing, and we couldn't see anything on the balcony, but on the video display, we saw a light. And we're like, what is this light? It was shining as bright, like somebody had turned on the flashlight or something. Not seeing it up here, but we're seeing it on the camera. So Shane goes up there. We're going to figure this out. He goes up. Oh, I said his name. Sorry. But the skeptical one, he goes up the stairs, and he stands there, and he's like, where is it? We're like, you're standing right next to it. And he's looking, I don't see a thing. And he sticks his hand up where it's supposed to be, and his hand on the camera's going right through it. And he came back down. I've never seen him go white as a sheet before, but there was no way to debunk that.
Yeah, and some people think you debunk everything. You're so skeptical that means you don't believe. No, that's far from the truth, because I've had experiences of my own. I think questioning is a good thing. So, so you see now, folks, that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can go to Walmart and they sell those little digital recorders like Kevin had. Yeah. They may be 20, 30, 40 bucks.
Or you don't have to get
your cell phone. You don't even have to buy a recorder. You can use this. You can start out with a good app. And there are inexpensive models of the spirit boxes you can buy. Mm-hmm. These have good cameras. Believe me, compared to the late 1800s and early 1900s, when those people were having seances, they didn't have all this.
No.
And they still were talking to ghosts and spirits, whatever you want to call them. So just because sometimes, my opinion, you tell me what you think, Kevin, but if you go into an area with too much ambient batteries, electricity, you can kind of screw up the investigation, can't you?
Yeah, especially with cell phones. When we do our K2 meters and stuff, we're always making sure we put our phones on airplane mode so the K2 meter won't pick up on it accidentally. And we think we're getting a hit, and it's just our phone in our pocket going off,
Yeah. The question was asked, how much does sage cost and what kind you use for paranormal stuff? Sage you can make. Actually, sage is a lot cheaper than what a lot of people want to charge for holy water. Holy water be, and then does lighting a candle really help? Lighting a candle does nothing. create.
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay. Now, if I do a seance, first of all, it's performance art to do a seance. I can do it in many different ways, but when I want to create the ambience, I will put candles, you know. But I can. You don't need all that because it happens. This is the tool you need right here. Now, if you want to set the ambience and you want to feel like you're in a Hollywood movie, a Stephen King novel, or whatever, but you don't need all that at all. Zach Bagan does what he does because he's paid by the Travel Channel some big money, and he's got a museum full of stuff that's not really haunted.
Yeah.
You know, in my studies, my background is in theology and whatnot. Spiritualism was a big thing to me. This has been a big interest to me all during my life, and I have learned that you can empower things that otherwise were not empowered. You
Yeah.
can, and I like to use the example of the United States flag and the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag. They're all just material with different designs on them. They have no power, but we gave them so much power that they will either move someone's emotions in a positive way or in a negative way just by looking at them. That's what we do, people. That is what we do. We empower this stuff, and that doing that confuses our ability to be rational when we're dealing with this subject, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my sermon, folks. Can I get a email?
Amen. Amen.
There's a brief rundown on paranormal research, getting involved in it without breaking the bank. This clearly is Kevin and mine. It's our opinions. You can go out and there is no authority on ghost hunting. There's no authority on any of this. There's no authority on Bigfoot. Okay. There's no experts on any of this stuff. Keep that in mind. Everybody has an opinion. She says, do you think what I think about Annabelle the doll? The Warrens were frauds. That's what I think. I know the guy that is he's married into the family and he's now in charge of that. Annabelle's not haunted, just the bottom line. Now there's another doll that could possibly be haunted down in Florida, but Annabelle's not haunted. They sold that to everybody and everybody bought it.
Wow.
And
I always liked the Warrens myself, but
well, I'm not saying I didn't like them. Some people like Trump. Okay.
Without standing in front of Annabelle and picking up for myself, all I can do is go by the word of mouth, and that's not proof.
Right.
Other than I still think it's really weird that guy, the motorcycle rider that visited their museum when it used to be open to the public, challenged the Annabelle doll, and Ed made him leave, and he had a wreck with his bike 2 hours later and got killed.
Yeah,
it could be a big coincidence, or
the Amityville horror has been debunked so many times. It's not funny. The people that are involved in it, it's
the problem I have is number one, Ron DeFeo keeps going back and forth. I think he's just nuts. He goes back and forth. Yeah, it's real. No, it's not real. Yeah, it's real. He just goes back and forth. Number two,
he's an alcoholic.
They get him alcohol in jail.
No, but I mean, he's a dry alcoholic now.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, he
was you said.
Yeah.
Number two, everybody's living in that house afterwards. They don't say anything, is wrong with it. And in fact, they get ticked off because people keep beating on their door. Can I come in and look around? No, leave us alone.
See, people have to distinguish between reality and Hollywood. Let's get the difference. And the problem is, I know you've got this thing about Ouija boards. I've always had a Ouija board. I've got one over here now. I've never had a problem with a Ouija board. You've never had a problem with a Ouija board, but you've heard of people that had a problem with a Ouija board. And I'm going to say it again. Hollywood set the stage for what we believe in a lot of this stuff. Okay. It's just like Hollywood painted the picture of Satan. That's not a biblical picture of Satan. Okay. According to the Bible, Satan is a gorgeous angel. According to common belief on the street, Satan's this ugly looking character, and it's just not what the Bible says. So you have to separate this stuff. That's just the bottom line. And Hollywood is a big sell because it's fun. Let's get the popcorn. Let's go to the movie. Kevin and I like to do that, right?
Yeah, I love movies. I watch them right here at home. Ever since I, got a smart TV and went digital, I don't have to buy DVDs or Blu-rays anymore.
But you've got the ability to say Jason wasn't real.
Yeah.
He's not going to come and attack me tonight. Okay.
No, Jason. I've got his hockey mask in here. He ain't going.
That's Jason right there.
That's the devil over there.
Okay. Now, as I say all this, I'll say it again. Just because I don't believe every story that I hear, just because I don't think that the Warrens were genuine or the Amityville Horror, I've done a lot of research on this. That doesn't mean that I don't believe there's something out there at all. That means that I can separate fact from fiction. That's where I'm going with that. We've been talking for about an hour now. It's now 8:00.
Yeah.
And I am Kelsey. This is Kevin and myhauntedDolls.com. How you coming on that 12th book?
It's coming. I worked on a little bit last week, and then this week, yesterday and today, got so dadgum busy. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'm gonna get that sucker back out and work on it some more. And gosh, I think I was gonna have just one more chapter, but I'm adding a bonus story to it, so 2 more chapters, and after I finish this one I'm working on. Make
it a Stephen King sized book.
Yeah, I can't. Have you seen some of his books? I mean,
before the movies came out, I read his books.
Yeah. It took me weeks to finish the novel. It is about that thing. I've got
I've devoured those books. I used to just read them
I'm a speed reader, and it took me weeks to finish that one.
Tonight, the first hour we've talked about just basics of paranormal investigations, and Kevin pulls some tricks out of his bag that for $100 you can get a big paranormal investigation going pretty easy. And we talked about debunking some stuff and that kind of stuff. The second half of myhauntedDolls.com, he's got all those books for sale there. He's got all kind of stuff on YouTube. And then mine is Abnormal Alabama on YouTube. All these shows going back to day one are archived on YouTube and Facebook. And if you go back far enough, be over a year ago now, 2 dolls came to life during one of our shows. Bam, 2, not 1, but 2 dolls sitting on the other side of the table from us. We're on one side of the conference table. These dolls are over there. And they came alive. Isn't that right, Kevin?
Yep.
So even the guy that we were interviewing that was on there with us from Bristol, Tennessee, was freaking out. So that's documented. If you want to see a real haunted doll, there were 2 right there. And now those 2 dolls, in fact, that very day, I think we gifted those dolls to you, didn't we?
Yeah.
And he took those home and said, "Ooh, I have haunted dolls." Has there been any more activity out of those dolls in your house that you've detected?
A few weeks after that, or maybe a month after that, I did a spirit box session that's out there on YouTube. And I mean, if you look close, there's a scene where it looks like I've got them sitting together in a chair, the lights down, just a little bit of light on. And if you look close, it looks like they do the same thing. They kind of move close together. So yeah. I think they love each other. I've got them together here in the new house. I don't separate them. So
are the spirits that's attached to those like related to each other or something? Is there some background there?
Somebody that saw that video in the picture said they felt like it was one's got an older spirit, maybe female or male. It's hard to tell, but the other one's got a little girl spirit with it. So it could be a parent and child or some other relation. I didn't get any response out of the spirit box to answer my questions. on that, and they haven't really, made themselves known to me enough to be able to. I think they like to keep to themselves, so I don't push them. And
You're not going to push your luck.
yeah, I don't want to. I treat them like I would, any human. I'm going to be respectful. I'll mind my business then. And
When were you ever respectful?
hey,
All right, let's get into this second hour. It's now 8 o'clock, and I want to start out, I think, and share that video. It's not, I think it's, let me see how long that video is. It is like a 10, 11-minute video, and that's going to set the stage for this house. First of all, do you know the background of this murder? Do you want to talk about that first?
I've got an article pulled up here already about it. If you want me to go ahead and read a little bit about it.
Now this is really interesting, and this he's going to give the lead into this. When we watch this video, I want to remind you that this video was not ghost hunters. This was a body cam, and by the way, these are nice. I've got one of those police body cams, and this is the same thing that policeman was using, and this was what caught all that you're going to see in this video in this house where this woman and two little kids were murdered, and Kevin's going to set the stage on that for us, please.
All right, so it says Christopher Lee Watts. This is the Watts family, and I almost forgot I put a little picture up here we can put up there with it. Christopher Lee Watts, Chris Watts, and Shannon Watts, his wife, were locals of Spring Lake and Aberdeen, North Carolina, respectively. They met in 2010 and were married in Mecklenburg County in 2012. They had two daughters named Bella Marie Watts and Celeste Cece Watts. They moved to college.
I just want to interrupt here. They met, I believe, on Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it.
I did.
Oh, okay. But they moved to Colorado. It was in 2013, I think, before they had the daughters. And they lived in a 5-bedroom home. It was Frederick, Colorado. They later declared bankruptcy in 2015, so they were having some problems there early on. And when we get to the disappearance, Shannon, the wife, returned home from a business trip to Arizona on August 13, 2018, after being driven home by her friend and colleague, Nicole Atkinson. Chris was home with the girls. Later that day, Shannon and the girls were reported missing by Atkinson, who became concerned when Shannon missed a scheduled OB-GYN appointment and failed to return text messages. Yeah, I believe Shannon was pregnant at the time, actually, with their third child. So actually,
at the time of the murder.
Yeah. So actually 3 children really were killed in this. After she missed the business meeting, Nicole went to the Watts home and rang the doorbell, knocked. There was no answer. Chris was at work, and when she got in touch with him, he called the police, and an officer arrived to conduct a welfare check. Chris arrived home, talked with the officer, and discussed ways to locate his missing family. And during the welfare check, he gave them permission to search the house, but there was no sign of Shannon or the girls. The searches uncovered Shannon's purse and her phone and keys. Her car with the girls' car seats was still in the garage. So to me, that's a big red flag automatically. Her wedding ring was found on the master bed. The FBI and Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined the investigation next day, and Chris initially told the police he had no idea where the girls were, where they might be. He had not seen them since the morning of the disappearance when he left for work. He gave interviews on TV pleading for their safe return. And then, believe it or not, August 15th, he was arrested when he failed a polygraph test. And subsequently,
August of what?
Huh?
August of what?
August 15, 2018.
Well, okay, that's right. That was 2 days after the murder. Okay.
Yeah. He failed a polygraph test and subsequently confessed to murdering Shannon. Apparently strangled her and both girls.
And to interject real quick, he got caught. He was kind of not admitting it until a neighbor's camera caught him in a lie, and you could almost see him in that camera at the front porch of a neighbor where he had backed up his truck and he was loading body bags. It looked like into
Yeah.
his. So he kind of blew that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this man who just a day before was pleading on TV for their safe return was now being charged and finally admitted to their murder. And I think he buried their bodies on a work site, one of his work sites. So this video you're going to show, I mean, one is the first part of it's when they go and do the search. I think he's there when they're searching. It picks up some weird stuff. It's the welfare check.
Yeah, they come in and let's see, because I watched several videos, but he mostly stayed out of the house. They came in, but the first search. Now this search.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll go through this real quick. I don't want to show all these videos. There's a lot of videos from police cams and whatnot.
Yeah, I had one that's a 11-minute one that has the paranormal activity.
Yeah, that's the one you shared with me.
Okay, yeah, that's it. It's the same one.
So let's back up because it was almost 2 months to the day from when Shannon shared the news about her pregnancy with him, Chris, and then 2 months later and 2 days, 2 months and 2 days later is when he killed her and the kids. So let's show. I want to just give you so you can kind of get a feel for who this woman was. Let's go to right here and let me start this video. Oh, wait a minute. I screwed up because I did not share the video. I mean, the audio part. I got to start
okay.
over. I want we need the share audio. There
yeah.
All right. And let me go back over here and hit the start button. So he's going to come around the corner. This is 2 months and 2 days before he kills her and his kids in this house they're in that he's walking in right now.
I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome.
And this is not a reenactment. This is the real deal right here. She recorded it.
So pink means.
That's just a test.
I know. We just assume pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just a test.
That's awesome.
Okay. So that's all we need of that right there. But that is what took place there. And then we get into just a little over 2 months after that. We're going to go, let's see. This is the one that I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but I think this is the one that you shared with me earlier. This is the spooky part. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Spooky. I got to remember to click that share. It makes you click that share right there. Here we go. Right here.
2018. Chris tried to cover the whole story up, but got caught by his neighbor's CCTV camera while he was about to dispose of the remains and other pieces of evidence that could tie him to this case as a suspect. It is believed that the search team, as well as different officers that were investigating the house, could pick up several unexplained sightings and EVPs. Some people believe them to be stemming from and featuring Shannon and her 2 daughters.
Now turn your volumes up.
Enters, and it doesn't take long for the person with the body cam to capture the first.
You're gonna hear something. Turn your volume up.
Some people claim that one of the daughters can be seen up the stairs while the search team makes their entrance into the living room. Let's watch that again.
So you see it in that stairway there, the ones going down. See, it looked like a little child walking down the steps.
I can't say for certain if this is truly an apparition, but it is definitely possible. What do you think? At this point, we can hear an EVP, which sounds pretty similar to Get Out Alive.
Keep in mind, broad daylight and a body cam. This is not nighttime with lights out.
Followed by an unknown female voice saying no.
You hear that?
Right after this capture, it appears that Shannon can be seen in the mirror. One could think that the apparition in the mirror is taking a picture with their iPhone. Ironically, Shannon owned an iPhone, which he had left in the house. But it could also be the officer's reflection. We can't be 100% certain here.
Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home.
She works like
Next, the two officers make it into a closet, which on further inspection appears to be a wardrobe in one of the bedrooms. Listen closely as a faint giggle is being captured in the background.
Yes. Yes.
Go in there, step on that little blue thing and see if that's where that is.
Yeah, it sounded like a toy.
The two officers clearly heard the laughing child as well, and now we're looking for explanations of where this giggle could have originated from. But of course they had no idea.
Something. I heard it.
Did you hear it?
I did.
Sounded like some kid whistling or something, didn't it? Or a kid.
It did.
Because all he did was go straight in there.
So they could hear it. It wasn't just recorded.
Yeah, they were looking all through that closet to try to figure out where it came from. Now that other one that was in the mirror back there, I kind of think that was a police officer's reflection in that mirror.
Yeah, me too.
Now what is pretty interesting is that Chris's mistress, called Nicole, left a pretty ominous voice message on his phone. I find it is super close to the giggles we just heard moments ago. Make of it what you want. Coincidence? Maybe.
Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi.
Let's listen to some more EVPs captured in this residence.
Yes. Yes.
On the following night, neighbors informed the police that the woman had been seen and recorded by CCTV camera entering the house of the Watts family. What is pretty unexplainable, though, is the fact that she apparently has never left the house afterwards. Also, the squad noticed that the lights in the garage had been turned on. Right after that charming introduction, the team makes their way in to investigate what was going on in this house. They split up to cover more ground. While exploring, they capture several inexplicable occurrences. The next we see is that members of the squad are making their way upstairs to check for anybody in the building. Some viewers claim that they see a figure peeking out behind one of the policemen. Let me know if you see anything. Possibly the shadow of Bella. While this officer is guarding the dining area, a shadow seems to have moved quickly from the right to the left. Other viewers also state that they could see a shadow on the chair and unusual activity on the right. What's your opinion? It appears that the man also saw something, but who knows?
Thank you so much for watching. See you all next.
All right, so we talk about this little video a little bit there, and I like to emphasize again the point. The first part of this video was in broad daylight. They weren't there ghost hunting. It was captured. The reason it moves around in an unstable fashion is because this was attached to the police officer that was recording it. These have night vision. I've done at night with these. They're not very inexpensive. This is not a toy that you can go out and just, they're a few $100. So keeping all that in mind, I just want to emphasize again, you don't have to be nighttime ghost hunting stuff to catch things. Now, I will let Kevin give his thoughts clearly, but I would say I'm 50-50. I think 50% of it is, ooh, wow. And the other 50 is like, nah, that was the cop in the mirror. And, some of it's questionable. The one at the stairway, at the top of the stairway, at the end, but there were some things in there that like, wow. So what do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I was more impressed by the beginning when they caught what looked like a little child on the stairs. That I mean, there could be some kind of glitch in the footage, but it does look like something there that I find more impressive than the one late in the video where it's nighttime, the cops there, and they think there's a little figure peeking around. That there were 3 or 4 cops up there, shadows being cast, and yeah, so that doesn't impress me as much. The giggle in the closet, they heard that live too, and they couldn't figure out what where'd that come from.
Well, and the girlfriend was not one that was killed. Okay, that
Yeah.
had the giggle. So who knows?
Yeah. And the mommy before that, you hear the little girl's voice, mommy. And the I'm with Cece, which is the name, I think, of one of the little girls. Those were just, the mirror, I've always said, even the first time I watched this some months ago, I said, that's probably the cop. And the cops are out there. You see her arm come up pointing when she leans in. That's probably her.
And then when you saw her reflection in the mirror as she was walking into that closet, the hair looked exactly like the hair in that mirror.
Yeah.
If you noticed, her hair was not too neatly done.
Some of that stuff, some of the EVPs that have the question marks, that could have been the cop themselves, maybe mumbling or muttering, and they picked up on it. But some of those EVPs were pretty astonishing, and that little girl on the stairs, I find that interesting. It could probably be debunked, but I find it very interesting.
What I think would be fascinating is if you could find out who 1 or 2 of those cops were, even the lady that was doing the filming, and interview her as you watch.
I've also done a search. If you notice when he cuts to the video at night, when the officers are called to the place by the neighbor who said they saw a woman going in.
Right.
And they said they caught CCTV footage from their camera for going in. Well, I've tried to search to see if that footage is shared out there, and it's not. I'd love to see that and see if the figure they caught looks like Shannon or.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting point that could easily be missed in watching this, is that they went back because the neighbor said, hey, the woman that was dead, they saw her going into the house at night on their camera system. And so it's like, ooh, was her ghost coming home, or, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they thought there was an intruder there, maybe, and they didn't find anything, and there's no footage of the figure coming back out anywhere. So I would love to see that CCTV footage, but apparently I guess it's classified, and nobody has shared it.
Right. Okay, so now we're going into almost 8:30, and you did a spirit box session on the little girl that died at around 12 years old, who was the little star of Poltergeist. Poltergeist 3 is the one you were talking about. Would you like to share that? Oh, there she is.
I put it on the wrong thing. Yeah.
A ghost.
I put it on logo. It's not supposed to be on logo.
So as you present this to us, are you going to play that audio for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna play. I'll play what I actually captured there. There we go. Now we can see her. And there's
To interrupt you one more time, what did she die from?
Yeah, I was going to tell about that. She was. This picture was taken probably about the time she did Poltergeist. She was about 6 years old, but she was actually 12, almost 13 when she passed away. And she was in all 3 Poltergeist movies: Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3.
Is that the one where it says they're back?
Yeah, she says, yeah, in the first one she says they're here. Okay. And then in the second one she says they're back. And the third one is we're back.
Oh. And that's kind of like a prophecy.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, she's a beautiful girl.
You got an artifact from her.
Yes, I have, and you'll see it in the video. Go ahead and take her picture off. and I was a fan of hers. I really wish that she hadn't died. I forgot to tell what she died of. On January 31st, 1988, she began exhibiting flu-like symptoms, and the following morning she collapsed in her home when she was on her way. She was going to be leaving to go to school that morning, and she collapsed. They rushed her to the hospital. She had a cardiac arrest, and they were able to restart her heart, and she was flown to Children's Hospital of San Diego, where it was discovered she had intestinal stenosis. She went into surgery, and she survived the surgery but suffered another cardiac arrest while being transferred to the recovery room, and she was pronounced dead. So they call it congenital stenosis of the intestine, complicated by septic shock. In other words, she basically had blockage in her intestine.
Wow.
And from what I understand, she had, while she was filming Poltergeist 3, several months before that, she complained to her mom about some what she thought was stomach pains, but she kept saying it feels like it's below my stomach. And they took her to the doctor, and he said she was just having stomach flu or something. He misdiagnosed it.
Right.
So they missed catching it, or they could have stopped it. But by the time when she collapsed and it was discovered what it really was, it was too late. So there were some lawsuits, some malpractice suits that the family filed after she died. I don't know what came of those. Some people try to claim it's the poltergeist curse because other cast members died. If you watch the first Poltergeist, there's a character that never reappears in the second or third one. She's written out, and it's the oldest Freeling daughter, a teenage girl. Her name was Dominique Dunn. She's in the first movie. She was actually 21 years old, but she's playing a teenager in the film. She had a very abusive boyfriend who, I think a year after they filmed Poltergeist, he strangled her to death in a fit of rage. And some other cast members died. In Poltergeist 2, there were 2 cast members. The Reverend Kane actor who played that part died during filming.
Did you say Kane?
Kane. It's not my Kane. He was the evil old creepy man in the movie, and he
Sounds like a Kane
shut
to
up.
me.
I knew you were gonna say something, mouth. But but he died. He was an older gentleman. He was, I think, in his late 60s, early 70s, and he already had cancer going on. That's not a curse. He was already sick, and he died after his scenes were shot. They shot his early on. He was diagnosed, and he was a trooper. He still said they, offered to let him out of his contract. He said, "No, I want to play this part." He was dedicated, so he did his performances for the movie, and they let him go, and he died sometime after that. The Indian actor Will Sampson that's in that movie also died the following year from illness. So all these deaths keep happening. Then Heather O'Rourke after the third one. People say it's the poltergeist curse. No, it's just life. I don't think it's a cursed movie.
The number one cause of death
is birth. But I wish Heather was still alive. She was also happy in Happy Days.
Now, what year did she die?
She died January 1988.
Wow, she would be your age or more.
Yeah, she was a couple of years older than me. She was born in 75. I was born in 78.
Okay.
So she was going to be 13 in 88, but she died at the beginning of the year before she turned 13.
Right.
And they for the longest time, the family held on to all of her, her belongings, her toy teddy bear, her clothes, costumes she'd worn in the movie she did that she was allowed to keep, all kinds of toys and homework pages. She loved to write. And I saw an interview a few weeks ago. I did a little homework where she said when she grew up, And that makes me cry because she had no idea she was not going to grow up. But she said, when I grow up, I want to write and direct. And she loved to write. And she always did a little essay and word of the day writings for homework because she loved those are her favorite. And I've got one of those pages when they had the estate sale.
How did you get that?
I found out just right place at the right time online. In fact, it was a YouTube video. They were talking about her, and they said there was going to be. They finally, her mother, who's on in her years, and her sister Tammy, who was also a child actress, but she's grown up, married, and all that, decided they would go ahead and have the estate sale. I missed the teddy bear. I would have liked to have had her teddy bear, but
Good money for that teddy bear.
I found out on YouTube. Yeah, this homework paper was $200. So the teddy bear. But I, being a fan and knowing that this had her signature on it, I collect autographs.
Well,
I
I guess it helped her family out too.
Yeah, I said this has got to be. I mean, this is going to be one of those rare times I can get something with her signature on it. Because she didn't really sign a lot of autographs back then. She's a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I did purchase one of her homework papers. I had a lot of them. All of it sold out fast.
Do you have that frame? Did you show that to me?
I bought that frame and I put her homework paper in it, and I put the receipt from her sister signed by Tammy O'Rourke showing it was authentic. And I printed out her school picture and put it in there with it just so people could. Somebody commented on the video, "Oh, you got her haunted picture?" No, that's a printout I did. The homework paper, it's not. I mean, they didn't claim her stuff was haunted, but I wondered if a piece of her energy might be on it, and I just might get to get her to come through. So I kept planning for. I've had that for over a year, and I kept planning at some point I got to do a video, and I finally did one. I've learned something from this video. When you see me, I'm not going to play that part, but in the beginning, when you see me, if you go back and watch it, it's midnight and I look god awful. And so
what's new?
Yeah. I'm going to start filming those intros in the daytime like I am now with a headset on. And
here's the thing. When you're at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning doing paranormal investigations, give me a break, okay? Now, when Zach Bagan does it, he's got a trailer and makeup people with him.
He's got the hair.
But now, folks, get ready because I haven't heard this yet. And Kevin says that he got some direct communication with this little girl who's been dead since the 80s. So get ready for
and I've got a little ghost story with it too. But I'll go ahead and play the video, and then I can tell the ghost story.
Just a little ghost story
for a little girl. Okay, let's see. I wish if she'd been here today, I was thinking she would probably be at these horror conventions with her co-stars, signing autographs, and
I think see, you'll be one of these guys. I wrote that book. I compiled these stories called Dating the Dead. These people marrying ghosts. So would you like me to marry you to the ghost of this girl?
No. She's just a little kid. Come on now.
No, she's grown up now. Okay, wait a minute. So you mean that once you die, you never grow up? That's it.
I think. Well, you're not in your physical body anymore. I think you can be whatever you want to be. If she wants to be a grown woman, she can be one, I guess, in spirit.
Well, she wanted to, based on what you said. When I grow up, she could be writing angelic movies.
Well, when people have seen her ghost, that's going to be in the story I was going to tell. They see her as a little girl. So, and I caught her. This voice I've caught on here sounds just like hers.
Okay.
From the movie.
Let you go.
So I'm going to skip forward where I show where's my channel at here? Here we go.
Michelle says don't give you ideas.
Don't give me ideas.
All right, everybody, get ready. Pay close attention. Kevin,
all right.
Straight from here. This is not somebody's YouTube video.
Yeah.
This is Kevin Kane, not even talking to one of his dolls, but talking to a dead little actress.
Yes. All right, here we go. Let's see. Share audio as well. There we go. All right.
That's in my front yard, that little dog.
Yeah. Is it coming up? Oh yeah, it was. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm gonna tell about the thing here. Session. I just want to
About
share
the thing.
a question, which is an actual homework paper that Heather O'Rourke did. It looks like it was a word of the day type thing. This was done in December 1987, just months prior before she passed away. I have a lovely school picture of her here next to it. This was purchased from Tammy O'Rourke, who, along with her mother, had finally done an estate sale years ago, and they sold off some of her homework pages piecemeal. Now, I think at the time she did this homework, she was filming Poltergeist 3. I think they were finishing up. So it'd be interesting to know if she was actually doing this homework on the set of the movie. Maybe we can find out. Let's go lights out. Session, we are going to, of course, use the S box, spirit box, which you can find online. I purchased this at ghoststop.com. It's got a good price on it. So be sure to check that out. All right.
Are they paying you?
No, they're not paying me.
Xbox. Scanning. FM.
I would love to speak to Heather O'Rourke. Is Heather O'Rourke here with me? And if you could help to bring Heather O'Rourke. Heather, is that you? Heather, is that you? Heather, is that you? That sounds just like her. Heather, if you're here, please say hello. Is Heather here? Heather, please speak. Is Heather here? Heather, please. Is Heather here? Heather, please speak so I know you're here. I have here a piece of homework paper that Heather did. I have here a piece of homework paper that Heather did. I have here a piece of homework paper that Heather did. Now, those were the only ones I actually captured. But I'm telling you, those three, I've watched the Poltergeist movies over and over, and I watched them again this past month for Halloween. And that sounds just like her voice coming, especially the yes. It's very, short little things. Yes,
So does
But
that prompt you to want to do that again?
I do. I mean, there's like 10 more minutes of that video, but nothing came through as far as her. There were some little, I would say, anomalies that could have been just dust or cat hair that shows up kind of, floating
What were
around.
you
But
and what were you filming that on? What were you
that
videoing?
that was just my camera.
Okay, your cell phone.
Yeah, so I can't. I mean, that would be those little things floating around can be too. Yeah, and I say it all the time in my video. That could be dust or cat hair.
You got
Don't.
cat. You
Yeah.
got yeah.
So
Cat.
I've said that. I said people don't get excited. That's probably cat hair.
Well, and again, I want to emphasize people what he just did was again, most of us have a smartphone. Okay, so that was nothing. And of course, the most expensive item in that what was the picture was the homework.
Yeah, a $200 piece of paper, but
Yeah,
hey, it's got her signature on it. It's her hand. It's all her handwriting
right.
on that little short thing. Her little notebook paper, and I can just picture her sitting there writing it.
Mhm.
And
So he
actually, that was a month because she died in January of 1988. That was a month before she died. That's real creepy.
oh yeah, yeah. So she was real close to her death. Makes you wonder if she was suffering at that point physically.
Yeah, it does.
So Michelle had a question that's a pretty interesting question. Do you feel that all the sounds on that spirit box, okay, um, are all spirits? Everything you hear on there would all those voices be different spirits, or some of them be basically nothing?
And I'm careful when I go back to when I listen to it, I go back to do the little captions. You'll hear, I mean, like when she says in response to something I said, before that, there was a male voice that said
Right.
And I thought maybe there might have been somebody there with her, kind of helping her,
Is her dad dead?
I think so because the note that you see it on the video, it's just has Tammy and has the mother. So I don't know what
Mhm.
happened to the father.
Well,
He might have.
there could be a grandfather. There could be a.
Yeah, I mean, it's been over 30 years, almost. Yeah, it's been over 30 years. So,
So if you're the whole thing is to talk to the spirit world, okay, ghost spirit world, the other realm, however you want to word it, and she's not there alone. So it's kind of like you're getting your megaphone and you're shouting
yeah.
in big space, uh, Heather, are you here? And you're going to pick up all these other noises because she's not alone in the
Yeah.
spirit. In fact, I would say, given the span of time that throughout history, there's probably more people in that realm than there is in the physical realm.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Yeah. I mean, I've got multiple spirits just in this house. So when I turn the spirit box, I'll hear different things. But some of that, when I'm listening, when I hear it live, I kind of mentally note. Some of it you can tell is just a little piece of music going, or a DJ coming on, 94.5, So some of it's just radio noise. So it's not
Okay.
all spirits,
Okay.
but when a full sentence or really clear answer to a question or what you're talking about comes out, that's when
And you would kind of know. Are you dealing with FM band or AM band?
that was FM. I've tried AM. It's a little bit, I call it clunkier. It's a little more, instead of just white
because
noise, you got the like a train.
the interesting thing is most talk radio anymore and has been for a while is on AM band. And
Yeah.
most of what if you just scan through the FM dial, you're going to get mostly music.
Yeah.
There are a couple of, sports channels and different things, but you can kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can kind of figure out what would be said on one of these shows versus what, because there's usually two types of talk or three types of talk radio, and one would be sports, the other would be religion, and the other would be politics.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? I mean, you're not
Yeah.
having people talk about, other things pretty much. So it's kind of easy for you to figure out what's legitimate versus what's just regular radio, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why sometimes I plug this into my car and I pull up podcasts where they talk about ghost stories and things. Like the one I do. But yeah, and especially at night, AM seems like everything's off, so it's nothing but white noise. But for some reason, it gets louder, like a train going. Whereas the FM's a little smoother. So I've gotten more responses on FM than AM. I've tried AM, and most of mine have been FM responses and successes. So I don't know why there'd be a difference.
So do you go back now? The audio we were getting in that film clip was audio. I assume you were recording on your phone. It wasn't the audio directly from your spirit box.
No, it was from my phone.
But there is a micro card, and you could get the audio directly from that box.
Yeah, I've tried it. Now it won't record outer, like they won't record my voice asking questions, but it records the stream.
You know who you are.
Yeah,
You're not dead yet.
I know, but with my video, you can hear my questions and hear that, but you're just going to get the response. The responses are recorded.
All right. Fascinating. Okay, so we got about 14 minutes left here. Did we cover everything we planned to cover? Have we gone through all this?
Oh, I forgot to tell the story that they've talked about it. There's a ghost story at Paramount about Heather.
How lengthy is that story?
Oh, it's short. It's just a couple of minutes.
I was hoping it would take more than a couple of minutes so I can.
Oh well, I could read it very slow. I mean, it's not. Well, we could. I mean, discussing it might take up the rest of the time. But yeah, it's
okay. I'm gonna turn it over to you because I want to get something else to drink real quick. And
okay.
While you're doing that, so
okay. All righty. Oh, it really is all me. There I am. Okay, let me go ahead and share this story. Paramount, while we're on the subject of Heather O'Rourke, has a ghost story that they share over there with Stage 19. That's where they used to film Happy Days. I'm going to put my goggles on here. Heather was on Happy Days in the early 80s, the last few seasons. She plays the daughter of Fonzie's girlfriend in that last season or so, when it's after Richie Cunningham had left. What's his name? Ron Howard had left the show, and pretty much Fonzie was the star. So Heather loved to play around that stage, and seems like in her death she still likes to visit it. So I'm gonna read the story here. Hollywood is the home of many eerie tales, so many that there is a tour called the Haunted Hollywood Tour. A famous stop is the cemetery, Hollywood Forever, which is located next to Paramount Studios. Security guards who work around the sound stages of Paramount Studios have claimed that sometimes those restless souls in Hollywood Forever come back to haunt the studio. This happens so frequently that the security guards, more specifically those who work the night shift, have given the studio a new name. They call it Paranormal Paramount. One of the most famous hauntings is the haunting on Sound Stage 19, the stage where Happy Days was shot. Most security guards refuse to work the night shift on Sound Stage 19. The stage is said to be haunted by Heather O'Rourke, the little girl from Poltergeist. She joined the cast of Happy Days as Heather Pfister and was featured in 12 episodes from 1982 to 83. She died in a hospital in 1988, which we covered that earlier, from the intestinal blockage, and she was 12 years old. One evening, a man was talking to a night shift security guard who worked Stage 19 about the paranormal activities that go on at the studio. The security guard told the man that almost every night he hears running and laughing on the catwalk above the set, which is where Heather liked to play when she was on set on Happy Days. The security guard also told the man that sometimes they'd see the little girl playing on the stage. The man asked what they do when they see her. The security guard replied that they usually just tell her to leave and she runs off and disappears. The man decided he wanted to test this out for himself. The guard led him into the stage at midnight and bid him good luck before shutting the sound stage door. The man walked around and waited and prepared himself to hear running on the catwalk or to see Heather's ghost playing, but nothing happened. Finally, after 20 minutes or so, he decided to provoke the spirit a little by telling her, "Come out and play, Heather." Not a second after the words left his mouth did the man feel a small hand brush across his lower back. He immediately ran off the stage in terror. Outside, he told the security guard what happened and that he didn't actually expect anything to happen, but it did. The security guard laughed and told the man that his expression looked just like this expression on the editor for the show Wings, that was also filmed on stage 19. When asked why, the guard said while they were setting up shots, the director spotted Heather in one of the background shots before she quickly disappeared. So her little ghost has been heard laughing and playing on the catwalk, and she has been spotted a few times playing on stage. And I that would have been awesome if that the Wings show didn't come out until the 90s. That was after Heather was already dead. So that would have been interesting if they'd actually caught that on film, her in the background, but he saw it physically when he was setting the camera up, and he saw this little blonde-haired girl peeking out, and then all of a sudden she disappeared. And he said she looked just like Heather, and there were no children on the set. Wings was an adult-oriented show that, adult characters and everything. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I never heard that.
I will say this: when I first got that homework paper, of course, I'd already set myself up to think, this might have her energy attached. But when I got it, I did feel a cold little breeze blow across my back when I was hanging the frame up on the wall. And I'm not sure if that was her energy paying a little visit. But those little clips of her voice I captured on the spirit box, that sounded just like her voice in the movie. Especially the uh-huh, that was so cute. Uh-huh. Sounds just like she would say in the first Poltergeist movie when she was 6 years old. Uh-huh.
Well, some people claim they want to get involved in paranormal research, but then they get scared. And it always I found it funny. You go through, it's just like Bigfoot. You got these guys out looking for Bigfoot. And then they claim they see something that's Bigfoot, but instead of going toward it, they run from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, if I have something interesting happen and I'm out doing research and I'm like, ooh, I want to see a entity, a ghost, whatever it is, I'm not going to run from it. I will say, ooh, come and talk to me. I got questions for you, Now, Michelle, we've got a few minutes left here. We've got about 6 minutes left. She's got another question. And I'm not sure that this is true, what she's asserting. She says, why do spirits make things cold? I'm not sure spirits make things cold. I'm going to give my take on this first, and then I'm going to let Kevin give his take on it. My take on it is that's one of those Zach Bagans Hollywood stories that spirits are energy. Bottom line, they're energy. I don't think they make things cold. I think that the realm they're in, it may be they may have a cooler temperature than the physical realm, you know, but I don't think they're cold or that they make things cold. I think that's a misnomer because I think that the reality is if you're checking temperatures and say there's a cold spot, it's not like it's 80 degrees here and 30 degrees there. Okay. It could be a chill, but if you're out doing an investigation, a lot of times you're doing it in the summertime, and a lot of times it's like very hot and humid. It don't take much to give you a chill. It don't take much of a temperature drop to make you feel kind of chilled.
Mhm.
So and then if another life form, I'm going to word it that way, ghost, spirit, a life form that's from a different realm is able to cross kind of through you or rub against you. If you're in a room by yourself and you don't know that there's another human being with you, and that human flesh and blood human being reaches out and barely touches your neck, you're going to get a cold chill.
Mhm.
That's just your reaction to that shock factor. So to me, spirits are energy, just like we're energy. We just are a different form of energy than spirits are. So I think that cold thing is kind of I don't think just because you get a cold spot that it's a surety that there's a spirit or whatever. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I've not. I mean, I've actually been in a place uh, where I felt, warm I felt a spirit next to me. It felt warm. I think it's just whatever the temperature is. Like when a person goes by, you feel that little breeze, whether it's cold or warm, whatever. I don't think the ghosts themselves are freezing cold. I've
Mhm.
never come across cold spots, as people talk about. I've never come across those, but I felt a little breeze or a
Year,
cold breath.
very, very interesting. Years ago, there's a little town in East Tennessee that is known as the oldest town in Tennessee. I was taking a ghost tour walk at night. It was cold because it was coming up on Christmas time, and it was cold out there. You could see your breath. And we're standing in front of the building behind me was boarded up. And the guy giving the tour was pointing at a 2-story building across the street, catty cornered, talking about it was haunted, and there was a female that had jumped off the second story and committed suicide back in the 1800s or whatever. And he was talking about sometimes people get the feeling of this woman. From behind me and passed through me was this extremely warm air, like you had been standing outside and somebody opened a door to a heated building. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
So that's an example, again, Michelle, that was warm. That I was in cold and the spirit warmed me. And there was no way it could come from inside a building because the only thing behind me was a boarded up abandoned building. So there was no heat and there was no doors opening behind me. And I was standing there with a group of 7 or 8 people, and we were not just arm in arm, but we were, but I was kind of back to myself because I'm antisocial. But bottom line is he's telling this story, all of a sudden and then he turned around, he said, "Did anybody feel anything?" I'm like, yeah, but I was the only one that felt that. Nobody standing next to me felt that.
wow. Boom. Boom.
So there again, and this is what movies and fiction novels confuse people because they confuse Hollywood with reality, in my opinion. And it's not even so-called reality shows are not really all that reality.
No.
You got anything to add to that in the last minute of this show?
Ooh, I just felt a chill.
Uh,
Usually when I showed the temperature gun earlier. I'm
mhm.
sure somebody out there that's going to say, well, if you don't really trust in that way, you got a temperature gun. Well, that can also help debunk if there's somebody says, oh, I felt a chill. You can use that and see if you can find somewhere where there might be a breeze coming from, a air vent or a loose pipe somewhere blowing out or whatever.
Especially given that a lot of these so-called haunts are taking place in abandoned buildings with
Yeah.
broken windows and cracked walls, and yeah. And again, even on a hot, sweaty night, it don't take much of something to give you a little bit of a chill in those situations. It's 9
Yeah.
o'clock. Are you ready to go to bed?
Yeah. I'm ready to go to bed.
Okay. Michelle, thank you for joining us. She said, great show, guys. Fascinating topic. Yep, debunk, debunk, debunk. So when you have the real thing, you know it. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, let me tell you, folks, Kevin and I are the real thing. And we're
Can't
not.
beat the real thing.
Peace and love, everybody. Next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but I guarantee you it'll be 2 hours and it'll go by pretty quick. It always does. We
Yeah.
will entertain you. For those of you that go to minute overtime here, some might be critical that we do enjoy laughing some on this show, because life is short. And if you're afraid to laugh and if you take yourself too seriously, I pity you. I mean, learn to laugh and enjoy yourself. We do take all the subjects seriously, but not so seriously that we can't kind of poke each other in the ribs and have fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to have fun. But other than that, myhauntedDolls.com, Kevin Kane, he's got a couple of books for sale over there.
Yeah. MyHuntedDolls.com.
datingthedead.com. Next week, 7 o'clock, we'll be back. Have a wonderful, blessed evening and have horrible dreams.
Happy haunting.
Be haunted. Ooh.
Happy haunting.